Well, if you can believe this, it's been 4 years since we started our Kid Connection series here on Twin Cities Live. And since then, more than 30 of the children that we've featured have been placed with families.
While the need for adoptive families is great here in Minnesota, the need for foster care is just as high. It's why in today's Kid Connection, MinAdopt's education coordinator, Wendy Lee Ron, is here with information on all of the free resources to help introduce foster care in your own home. Wendy Lee, it's so nice to have you here. When I was on the plane to London a couple of weeks ago, I watched the movie Instant Family, and about a family that adopts, fosters kids and ends up adopting them. And there was just so much joy out of that whole experience, but they really showed the tough parts too. So I think it's nice to know what to expect. Let's talk about the need for foster families. It's a big thing that is needed in our state.
Well, and this is a good, a good month to be talking about it because it's National Foster Care Month. And in Minnesota, there is really a big need for foster care for foster families, as it is the same across the country, from what I understand. A big part of the problem is the opioid crisis.
Oh, so
and
sad.
so, yeah, children are coming into care at like 2 or 3 times the rate that they were even 3 or 4 years ago.
And that's because their parents are dealing with addiction,
Right.
and then they're unable to care for them.
Yes,
And do
exactly.
you work in this. Do you find more often that you have parents who say, oh, we would like to adopt, as opposed to those who just say, oh, we would like to foster, and perhaps that leads to adoption at some point down the line. But do you see more folks saying we're looking for something more permanent? Is that part of the problem?
Well, not exactly. I mean, they're like separate groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what often happens when families decide that they want to do foster care, they maybe start out by saying, well, I just want to be a foster parent and help in a short-term way, and then once the kids move into their homes, they fall in love with them. And most of the kids are. The majority of children in foster care, their parental rights have not been terminated.
Right.
That doesn't happen right at the beginning. So the big majority of them go back to their families.
Yeah.
And then there's a kind of foster care called concurrent planning, where the foster families agree that they will be the adoptive resource for the children should the parental rights be terminated.
Wow.
Gotcha.
And then there's also the kinship part of it, where many kids who come into care go into care with a relative because it's best for them to be with someone they know, and that
And the idea of trying
thing.
to keep that family connection is very
Right.
important. Okay, so when families think, maybe I want to be a foster parent, a good way to start is to do one of these workshops. You have free trainings and you have webinars. And what can people learn from those?
Well, first of all, our foster ed program is for families who are already licensed foster parents. So they're called resource families, and we've taken that on from the Department of Human Services. So we offer those trainings all around the state, free to counties, and their families can attend the live trainings or our webinars at no cost. So that's a new thing. We're just coming up to the end of our first year with that. So it's counties and tribes and across the state. So we've got some signed on already, and I know we'll get more. We also have Adopt Ed, which is open to anyone, and so it's for adoptive parents, professionals who serve them, family members, whoever wants to come. There's a minimal kind of a charge for the Adopt Ed trainings, but and we have conferences sometimes, we have day-long things, we have at night, we have webinars. We have so much training available.
So that you know, because I think a lot of people might feel overwhelmed, like, how can I be a foster parent? I have no idea what I'm doing. Especially, I think, when it comes to having kids that are coming into your home who may have really experienced some tough trauma. And how do you help them work through that?
Yeah, it's a very different kind of parenting.
Yeah.
And people may be resistant to the training piece of it in the beginning, thinking, or some people already have had kids, oh, I know all about it. It's real different. Kids that have trauma histories have challenging behaviors sometimes, or sometimes they're just shut down and they're not responsive, and they have not had normal experiences of childhood in many ways. So
heartbreaking just to think about that. Let me ask you this, with so many folks at home listening, and I'm sure there are some out there who have thought about fostering, is there a misnomer about foster care that you often hear and just think, oh boy, if I could just get people to understand that it's not that?
A lot of times people think that kids are in foster care because the children themselves are bad,
Yeah.
or that they've done something terrible. And that's a huge misnomer.
Yeah,
I
well, and
think.
we learn that so much when we've seen these kids through our Kid Connection
Oh,
series,
yeah.
when our reporter Kelly Hansen goes out and hangs out with these kids. The kids crave unconditional love and stability. It's something that we
Yes.
all want and we all
Yeah.
need, and you can offer that to a child, even if it's for a brief period of time. That could be their
And it can
sunshine
make a
spot
massive
in their
difference.
whole childhood.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love that Kelly has said right from the beginning is once you find out what the child really loves and wants to do, then they open up.
Yeah.
And they show you who they are. So that's a really cool thing.
Listen, it's been a real honor to share these stories on Twin Cities Live, and we are just so proud of the work that you do and the fact that we've played a small part in helping some of those kids find homes.
Privilege
It's a
for
big
us as a
part.
show.
Totally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy Lee. Appreciate you being here. Becoming a foster parent starts by calling your county. You can find resources at twincitieslive.com.